All right, today we're diving into a really powerful way to think about how we create meaning in our lives. We're going to use this ancient symbol, the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, to basically map out our entire psychological world. Let's see how this old idea can give us a blueprint for living a more meaningful life right now.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get to the heart of what that serpent really means. Then we'll explore the two-sided world it represents. After that, we're going to meet the key players in our own heads, trace the path of how we actually change, and finally bring it all home to see how this whole process is what helps us forge real meaning. You know, this whole framework starts with a pretty good mind shift. The idea is that we don't just see a world of neutral objects or things. We see a forum for action. Everything is either a tool or an obstacle, depending on what we're trying to do. You don't see a wolf as just a mammal, you see it as a threat. A chair isn't just a collection of wood and fabric, it's a place to rest. Everything gets its meaning from what you can do with it. And that brings us to the Ouroboros. This ancient symbol is a perfect picture of what you might call a feedback loop. Think about it. We act based on what we believe the world is like. That's our internal map. The world then reacts to our actions, right? It pushes back with consequences. And those consequences, good or bad, force us to update that map. This simple cycle, it's literally the engine of our existence. Okay, so if our lives are playing out inside this giant loop, what does the world inside it actually look like? Well, according to this framework, our reality is split right down the middle into two huge opposing domains that we absolutely need. On one side, you've got order. This is your comfort zone. It's the known world, your job, your daily routine, the rules you understand. It's where you feel secure and competent. But on the other side, you have chaos. This is the great unknown. It's where uncertainty and threats live, like losing your job. But, and this is crucial, it's also where every new idea, every bit of transformation, and all potential comes from. And here's the wild part. This isn't just some abstract idea. It's literally hardwired in our biology. Our brain has different systems for these two domains. The known stuff? That's handled by our motor cortex. It's automatic, unconscious, like driving a car or tying your shoes. But the second we step into the unknown, our emotional limbic system goes on high alert, flooding us with awareness. It's the difference between sitting calmly in the light of a campfire and staring out into the dark, rustling woods around you. So the big takeaway here is that this isn't a war you're supposed to win. The goal isn't to get rid of chaos. A life with only order is rigid and boring, but a life with only chaos is just, well, chaos. The sweet spot, where life is meaningful, is right there on the border, the edge of chaos. You have one foot in the world you know, and one foot stepping into the world you don't. That's how you grow. So, these massive forces of order and chaos, how do we actually experience them? Well, they don't just feel like abstract concepts. Inside our own minds and in all our stories, they take on personalities. They become these universal characters or archetypes that act out the drama inside our heads. Just think of your inner world like a stage play. The story of your life is really shaped by the constant interaction between three main characters and one very important antagonist. Let's meet the cast. First, you have the Great Father. He represents order, culture, tradition, structure. He can be the wise king who protects, but he can also be the tyrant who oppresses. His opposite is the Great Mother, the embodiment of chaos. She is nature, the unknown, all potential. She can be the source of all new life, or she can be the dragon that devours you. Navigating between them is the divine son, the hero. That's you. That's consciousness. The part of us that has to explore the unknown to renew the old stale order. But every hero has a shadow, the adversary. This is the part of us that just refuses to face reality, the part that gets bitter and resentful and wants to watch it all burn. Okay, so we've got the world and its main characters. Now let's actually trace the journey. How do we move through that Ouroboros loop to adapt, to learn, and to actually become better? The journey almost always follows these 5 steps. You start out in normal life. Everything's fine, your map of the world is working. Then, bam, an anomaly shows up. Something unexpected happens that proves your map is incomplete or just plain wrong. This kicks off a descent into chaos. Anxiety, confusion, the floor falls out from under you. And right there at the bottom, you have a choice. You can make a voluntary confrontation with the problem. You choose to face the dragon. And by doing that, you can pull some new information out of the chaos, leading to a rebirth. You come back with a new, better, more accurate map of the world. So what is it that kicks off this whole dramatic cycle? It's a biological alarm system called the orienting reflex. It's that uh-oh moment, you know the one. When what you expect to happen and what actually happens don't line up, this deep-seated reflex slams on the brakes. It stops you dead in your tracks and forces all of your attention onto the problem. It's your body's way of screaming, hey, pay attention, the map is wrong.
I mean, let's be honest, this whole process sounds pretty painful, right? A cycle of breakdown, confusion, and struggle. It really makes you wonder, why? Why on earth would we be designed to go through this over and over again? What's the ultimate point of all this pain? And this is where it all comes together. That painful cycle, it isn't a bug in the system. It's the most important feature. This entire process of breakdown and rebuilding is the very machine that forges meaning in our lives. So in this way of looking at things, the highest good isn't some destination you arrive at, like a permanent state of happiness. It's not a state at all. It's a mode of being. It's the ongoing commitment to the process itself, the commitment to voluntarily facing what you don't understand, to telling the truth about what you find there, and to using that truth to make things a little bit better, to reduce suffering and build a more habitable order for yourself and for everyone around you. So how do you actually do this in your own life? Well, first, you articulate the problem. You have to name your dragon. You turn that massive, terrifying chaos into a specific, finite problem you can actually face. Second, you take small steps. The whole clean your room idea is about creating a tiny little patch of order that you can control, a foundation to build on. Third, you follow your genuine interest. Your curiosity is like a compass pointing you toward that productive edge of chaos. And finally, you speak the truth about what you're doing and what you're learning. That's how you update the map, not just for you, but for the whole tribe. And so, we come right back to our serpent. It isn't just surviving by eating its own tail. It's constantly recreating itself. It's turning death into rebirth over and over. And that really leaves us with a final powerful thought. Meaning isn't something you find. It's not a destination. It's something you build, moment by moment, through your commitment to that difficult, endless, and ultimately rewarding journey.